Good morning, everyone. If you'll take your seats, please. And welcome. Welcome to the HUD-approved Intermediary State Housing Finance Agency and Multi-State Organization Conference. My name's Robin Penick, and I am with the Office of Housing Counseling, specifically with the Office of Outreach and Capacity Building. And I'm pleased to see so many familiar faces as well as new faces. Welcome. And I'm joined by my colleague, Jane Sharita, who's also with the Office of Outreach and Capacity Building. Let me introduce you to some very helpful folks that can assist you today. There are 5 TA providers, staff here, technical assistance providers. They help to run the logistics for the meeting along with the HUD staff. Shauna LaRue Marai and Rachel Lilliard, if you'll stand up. And we also have Brandy Bones, Kim Wallace, and Nicole Hassman from ICF. So thank you all so much. They're very helpful folks. The general session of the meeting will be recorded, and that includes those that come to the mic to ask questions or make comment. The recording will be posted on the HUD Exchange for viewing. So if you do have a comment to make, please go to the mic and make your comments there. Restrooms are to the left as you exit the auditorium. And this morning you were escorted from HUD security back to the auditorium. Anytime you leave the building and come back into the building, you will need to be escorted. So just make sure you grab a HUD staffer and let them know that you're ready to come back. LaFont Plaza is the best place for snacks and coffee and for lunch. And however, if you see a HUD staff person, they may be able to escort you up to the 3rd floor where there is a snack bar. Today, we will be using Mentimeter. It's a web-based phone application throughout the day, and Shauna will provide some additional instructions on that later. Please turn off your cell phones or turn them to vibrate. And thank you so much. I'm looking forward to a great day. Jane?
Thank you, Robin, and welcome everyone. My name is Jane Sharita with Office of Housing Counseling, also in the Outreach and Capacity Building Division. And we're so excited to have you here with us. I'd like to take just a quick few minutes to go through the flow of the day. You all should have folders, and in the folders there's the agenda, handouts, an attendee list, information on how to do the evaluation, which you can also do electronically, and also a really great flyer that illustrates everything that's on HUD Exchange, which is one of our main vehicles to get information to you all that's helpful for your agencies and onto your clients. We'll start the morning with the latest news out of the Office of Housing Counseling. We'll go over what's happened this year and also what we're working on for 2019. Then after a short break, we'll have our first series of peer-to-peer breakout sessions. One will be in this room and then the other in the room next door. You have a choice between the 9902 data collection session, and then there's also a breakout on rental housing counseling. After the breakout, as Robin mentioned, lunch is on your own. There are plenty of places around here that'll tickle your taste buds, but we do ask that you're back by 1:15 because we really want to try to keep everyone on schedule today. We'll roll right into a general session on housing counseling certification. And then after a short break, we will have our second set of peer-to-peer breakouts. And again, you'll have a choice this time between housing counseling in the face of disaster or a neat session on how HUD intermediaries can use HUD Exchange to keep their networks updated. Immediately following the final peer-to-peer session, we'll do a closeout and do our best to get you out of here by 4:30 in case you have a flight back home. It's now my pleasure to introduce Sarah Jurek, Deputy Assistant Secretary for Housing Counseling.
Well, thank you, Jane. And it's so great to see you all today. Welcome to Washington. We gave you a fairly nice day in the range of summer possibilities here, so I hope you get to take advantage of that. Each year we gather and use today to try to bring value to each other. We try to share with you things that will help you do your jobs as intermediaries, and we get from you a lot of value in the feedback, your concerns, and your suggestions. We have a great belief that the role of the intermediary is critical to the scale and quality of housing counseling across the country. And we hope we're delivering what you need to perform your functions that contribute to that. Today, we have a few goals. We want to provide updates, as Jane mentioned. We want to have you learn from each other in the different sessions, and also we want to lift up best practices. But one of our goals, which is probably the hardest to achieve, is to help you learn from each other in a little more informal way. And already I know several of you have your own problems, questions for each other that I hope you get answered on the breaks or others. Things like, how can I expand to meet the needs in a disaster area? How can I attract new affiliates to my network who have been doing housing counseling but not under the HUD umbrella? How can I get more predictable revenues is a perennial question. So we hope that both the areas and sessions we've set up, as well as opportunities for you to learn from each other, are there. And I want to thank you because you are an incredibly generous industry. You do not keep your great ideas to yourself. You look forward to making the program better for clients, regardless of who's delivering that, and we really, really appreciate that. I want to thank three entities that have helped us plan today's conference: the Coalition of HUD Intermediaries, the Council on State Housing Finance Agencies, and the National Housing Resource Center. All of you trade associations really help us do a great job. They don't take the place of hearing directly from you, but they really do help, I think, with all of us staying focused. It's my great pleasure now to introduce to you, he has two titles. He has a lot of duplicates, multiple hats and roles. So he has two titles. I prefer Assistant Secretary for Housing, but most people call him the Commissioner of FHA. He has many notable achievements in the depth and breadth of his knowledge in this field. I will call out that he is serving his second term in this job, which is the first time anyone has ever done that, and he's served it on his third administration, which is really quite, I think, remarkable and a tribute to the core values and knowledge that he represents. I've had the great pleasure of seeing him close up in action. He's incredibly smart. He has a very long Rolodex that he connects people and problems to, and he always keeps us focused on the mission and what's going to happen to people as a result of the policies we debate. And for all of that, I want to thank you. It's my pleasure to introduce Brian Montgomery.
Thank you very much, Sarah. You read it just like I wrote it. I appreciate that. And by the way, it's two titles, but one paycheck. I also want to thank Jane and Robin and everybody here from the Office of Housing Counseling, and of course all the intermediaries. So I am pleased to join all of you for what I'm told is the 4th annual conference for HUD-approved intermediaries. HUD Housing Counseling partners with us today include many state housing finance agencies and national, regional, and multi-state organizations. I want to welcome all of you to Washington. Well, this is a solid network of affiliates across the country who help ensure on a daily basis that renters, first-time homebuyers, and homeowners understand their rights and responsibilities of where they live and how to achieve their housing goals for their families. Often, housing counseling provides a timely resource and life-changing information that arrives at a critical point in person's lives. As you may know, and as Sarah mentioned, I previously served as FHA Commissioner from 2005 to 2009, and also served on the board of NeighborWorks America during that time. So I think I'm pretty familiar with the important role of the HUD Housing Counseling Program, and consider me an advocate and a supporter of the value of these services. It is important for potential home buyers or those experiencing a rough patch to understand that counselors can assist them in many ways. This includes services to the homeless, to those searching for affordable rental housing, to folks recovering from natural disasters, and those who are struggling to pay a mortgage. There have been quite a few changes since I left HUD, including the HUD cafeteria closed, by the way. It might be a good thing. One is that Housing Counseling Program became a standalone office, a positive evolution for the agency and for the people that we serve. One of the many benefits of being a separate office within FHA is that I believe it's easier for the Office of Housing Counseling to bring attention to services that counselors provide that are not related to home ownership. It's also allowed for additional focus on the critical role all of you here, intermediaries, play in ensuring a strong nationwide network of HUD-approved counseling agencies. In 2017, HUD-approved housing counseling agencies, nonprofits, and local government entities assisted over 1.1 million households. 60% of those served made less than the average area median family income, and about 10% of those were from rural areas. Independent research has demonstrated that counseled families have significantly better outcomes. The results include higher savings, fewer foreclosures and mortgage defaults, and better use of credit when compared to similar families who were not counseled by HUD-approved agencies. Well, the last financial crisis helped us realize the importance of sound housing counseling. Too many families had been ill-served and needed your help. When enormous correction in the housing market struck, our housing counselors performed a critical role for many families, which I witnessed firsthand. As the enormous challenges of that era recede, it remains clear that housing counseling should continue to play an important role in helping people with budgeting and credit issues, preparing people for home ownership, and helping to prevent foreclosures and evictions. I believe there is a larger opportunity in the area of disaster-related counseling services, something Sarah and I have discussed several times. Finding temporary housing and working with lenders and contractors are major challenges, even under the best of circumstances. These tasks are exponentially more difficult in the midst of the financial and psychological injury inflicted by a natural disaster. Clearly, housing counselors can play a key role in helping families, especially our most vulnerable citizens, navigate the multiple issues that arise. HUD recently published an extensive disaster toolkit for housing counselors, which you will hear about today. HUD has also supported these kinds of services through additional training grants. Another important objective for FHA is building capacity to provide more HECM default counseling. It is no secret we're concerned about the performance of that program. We hope that better access to counseling so that HECM borrowers clearly understand what their obligations are, by the way, including paying taxes and insurance, will improve HUD and the borrower's experience with HECM loans and reduce the number of tax and insurance defaults. So I would like to commend you for the work you do to help families make good housing choices by providing your networks with critical supportive services, including training, technical assistance, and even pass-through funding. And I want to thank you for your focus on compliance and oversight. Intermediaries add value to consumers through your oversight of program quality and by ensuring compliance with federal grant requirements. I'm excited to join you as we celebrate 50 years of Housing Counseling Agency's experiences and lessons learned. I look forward to the continued feedback from you on HUD's Housing Counseling Program that this conference affords, as well as the benefits we all receive from your interactions and from the sharing of best practices in program implementation. I believe your presence and all your efforts here today contribute to the mission of HUD. and to a more meaningful housing counseling enterprise. Our hope is that you will find great value from the training, the peer-to-peer sessions, and the networking opportunities offered today. And thank you again for being such a great HUD partner. Thank you. Thanks, Sarah.
I know Brian can't stay with us today, but thank you so much for being here. We really
Thank you.
appreciate it. I'm going to actually ask Shauna Marai to come up. She's going to tell us a little bit about our new technology innovation for this meeting. I will not make a snide comment about HUD and technology.
Okay. All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us, and hopefully you'll enjoy this foray into new technology. So all you need to know is that once you see the touch-tone phone, which is approximately 50 years old, I'm sure many of you thought it was the rotary dial phone, but no, that was from the 50s. So if you see the touch-tone phone on a PowerPoint, then we're going to launch a poll. And we are using software called Mentimeter, or menti.com. And if you can go ahead and get out your smartphones, hopefully you didn't turn them off, hopefully they're available to you. And you can use your own data plan, or you can use the HUD Wi-Fi. And there should not be any password to log into the HUD Wi-Fi. And you will have a 6-digit code. So we want to get started and switch to that. That would be great. And we'll get you on to the 6-digit code. This code will be available all day long, okay? To get into Mentimeter, we're not going to change codes on you, hallelujah. And we have approximately 6 or 7 polls to run. And we're really looking for your feedback, and this is really meant to provide some quick interaction with the HUD, your HUD colleagues, okay? Okay, great. Just give it a couple moments to make sure people have logged in successfully. Can I get a couple hands that were logged in successfully? Okay, people are getting there.
HUD Guest is the network that you,
Shauna?
Okay.
HUD Guest is
HUD
the
Guest.
network in case anybody needed that information.
Okay, and also, I think I might have gotten onto the Brooke Mondale Auditorium, so either one should work just fine, okay? Can I see some more hands that were logged in successfully, most of you?
Can you repeat the code, Shauna?
Shauna?
The code is actually in the upper
I
right-hand
can't
corner.
see.
That's okay.
It's 181.
It's 185106. And we already have some quick responses about asking like, what word do you associate with HUD's Housing Counseling Program? So the most popular answer will be the biggest word on the screen. So we're seeing support, housing, impactful, compliance. We're going to have that helping, informed. Okay? Okay, so we're going to have the word bubble throughout the next couple of polls. So thank you for your feedback. I really like how big housing assistance and support comes up on the screen. So we're going to move on to the second polling question. And we'll get that loaded. So at the top of your agenda, you might have noticed that there are some goals associated with today's presentation. So this is your chance to prioritize those goals here today. And so you can rank order any of these by weighting the question, and then Mentimeter will tell you how many points you have left to assign points to any of these. So maybe you think the most important thing is to receive updates about key housing counseling topics, or maybe you say a bunch of you have peer-to-peer discussions you think is like the most important. So just rank order, and Mentimeter will tell you, like I said, your remaining balance of points to assign, okay? So it looks like a lot of you, it's all about, you want to provide feedback on HUD's Housing Counseling Program. We always welcome feedback. Peer-to-peer consistently has been highly ranked in evaluations, things like that. Okay? All right, great. And only a handful of you are celebrating 50 years, but hopefully when we get to the listening session in a little bit, you will feel more excited about celebrating 50 years of a federal housing program. Okay, great. All right, well, thanks. And if we could ask for, we're going to transition to the next panel. There's not a break. We're going to ask that the HUD managers come up and file in, and we will start the HUD update session. If you didn't get your phone to work for Menti, we have a lot of technology support here. So just find us, and we'll make sure before the next session we get you set up. Okay, thank you so much.
Okay. Yes, Stephanie, Jerry, and Phyllis to come up, right? And I'm sorry, Shauna. Can grab one of these seats. So Stephanie.
And you guys do have the clicker, okay? If you forget, we advance the slides.
Oh, I think I'll need the clicker first.
I think so.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. I'm so bad with
I'll sit next to you so there's not a gap.
Are you good? Okay, we're going to talk about this is what in my mind I call the mwahaha session. These are all the things that the Office of Housing Counseling has been working on to inflict on you throughout the year. Hopefully you'll be interested and maybe somewhat aware of what we're working on. We certainly work to not have a lot of surprises. I'm going to start with some policy updates. We're then going to have updates by each office within the Office of Housing Counseling. My colleagues here will discuss what they have been working on and what they did last year, what they plan to do next year. We're going to have a little time for questions and also a listening session. And we're going to have some questions for you that we'd like to use this morning's session to have you tell us some reactions. So without further ado, I'm going to start with a little bit of a policy update and a couple things I wanted to highlight, some not actually on the slide. We have joined with many of you, almost all of you, in various ways to increase the awareness of housing counseling, to make housing counseling a more normal part of real estate transactions, rental and ownership. We've tried to lift up your works if you've achieved policies on a state or local level, and we've been working on a national level with our partners as well. I'm pulling out a couple highlights. There are many more. And I want to start with one not on the slide. This is arcane but important category, and it's called MISMO, the Mortgage Industry Standards Maintenance Organization. This is an industry committee that determines the definition of various data points that lenders use in order to make and service a loan. So anytime a lender takes a loan application, MISMO says what the standards are, and then the various service providers adapt their processes to collect that data and share it. It permits the data to be shared, it permits it to be analyzed, and it keeps things common across all the different lenders. So if a lender reports on its foreclosure rate, for example, there is a MISMO standard around what that means. Housing Counseling 9902 data was approved and adopted by MISMO last month. That means that each lender can collect and report and match 9902 data that you report to their loan book. And that's assuming that you're reporting on the individual client level, which your CMSs are supposed to do and usually do. It does not guarantee that a particular lender will do that. This is just setting the standards for each lender if they collect that information. but it was an enormous amount of work, and we worked with Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHFA, and the MISMO organization and colleagues here in HUD to define each of those data sets in a way that meets MISMO. So we hope that it's not transformational right now, but we hope that down the road it will really change the way that lenders are able to interact with their clients and with counseled agencies. You also may remember that the uniform loan application is going to start asking people whether they were counseled or not at first contact with a lender. I believe that's still scheduled to be rolled out in January of 2019. So lenders are going to start, let me say it differently, borrowers or potential borrowers are going to start hearing more about housing counseling than they do right now. And it will be important for you to be ready with your lender partners and your clients that they are aware they're being asked this, and what is this counseling thing you're talking about anyway? I think the conversation will come up at the time of the loan application in the near future. Moving on, we have a couple of secretarial initiatives. I'm not talking about disaster assistance because that'll be covered later, but our Envision Centers, that is a key initiative from Secretary Carson, have the goal of helping people become self-sufficient, independent of government assistance. And we met in Detroit with all of the housing counseling agencies there. Several of you came, thank you, and introduced them to the Envision Center directors. It is a voluntary program. The centers decide which services they want to offer. They can offer services just by having a stack of flyers, by having classes there, or by having a counselor educated outstationed in the center. And we're starting to see all different models. This is just beginning. There have been some announcements of Envision Center locations in other parts of the country. As they get off the ground, we will share with you who the center director is and how you might connect or how your network might connect, because there's a very natural fit between housing counseling and the goals of these centers. We've done a lot of work on awareness and visibility. Homeownership Month, we did a lot of social media training. We're looking forward to your feedback on that. And we produced a number of materials and videos that hopefully you can download easily from our website and share. One of our peer sessions this afternoon is going to be walking through HUD Exchange and all of the resources we've put up in the last year. If you like them or don't like them, we want to hear. If there are particular videos or information that we can get out or add to our workload, we would love to hear that as well. We are celebrating a 50th anniversary, and I was gonna, I do want to spend a minute about that because I am very excited about that. It's very important to have a story behind housing counseling. What is it? What's its track record? Where does it go? A lot of people hear about it because their lender says if you want this down payment assistance, you need to get counseled. Or you might have an outreach event and people come because they're curious. The program's staying power, the fact that the program is not substantially different in its goals or methods from when it started. It's certainly different in the quality and some of the ways that it does work, but it's really a remarkable thing that doesn't happen very often. And I think going back and thinking about what it means to be 50 years old as an industry, where we've come now and where we need to go, is a really nice opportunity to do. We don't have a lot of money or capacity to put on a big show, but we hope that you'll help us identify people who can help share that historical perspective and give that story. And if you've been in the industry or you know of somebody who's been in the industry 10, 20, 30, 40, maybe 50 years, and I've met a couple counselors who've been in the industry 50 years, please put them in touch with us. Finally, OIG. OIG stands for Office of Inspector General. That is usually a phrase that strikes terror in the hearts of any bureaucrat. We have had an OIG audit opened on the housing counseling program. It is an audit of the entire program compliance. We are in the middle of it. We do not have results. We will not have results until they are published along with our response to the audit. I am a bit of an independent thinker sometimes, and I love the fact that OIG came in and audited us. I think that it is helpful to have somebody else look at what you do. I think it is helpful to see how well we're doing, where we need to tighten up, what the concerns are, and match. I can assure you without a shadow of doubt that we have areas we need to tighten up on. Some of them relate to consistency, which we've also heard from you, but a lot of it does relate to quality, adequacy of our controls, and that in turn will relate to some of your controls as well. I am not afraid. I think that we will do fine in making the changes we need to make, and they will be some changes we must make. So I can't tell you more than that, but I will say one last thing about this, and then I'll turn it on. I've probably gone way over my time. This is not the part of the IG that does criminal investigations, which is called the investigation branch. The audit branch is really looking at program compliance. The investigation branch has been a little busier than normal, and there are counselors in your networks and in our network who have had criminal investigations, indictments, and convictions in the last year. Not a lot, but anything more than none is a lot to me. I would ask you, and we will try to share with you some of those stories that are public, not to publicize our bad apples, but because we want to make sure everybody has a little more awareness that this can happen. You can't assume that everyone you hire is as good-spirited as you, and I think it's a lesson we're taking away. Very little you can do to prevent it. If somebody wants to tell clients that they will help them for $10,000 payment, which is one I saw last month, it's hard to find that unless somebody hollers about it. But please be aware, it does happen, and do not assume that every counselor is doing the right thing. On that upbeat note, I'm going to move to the Office of Policy and Grant Administration, which covers a lot of responsibilities. We have Stephanie Williams from our Atlanta office here to talk to you about her updates.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Stephanie Williams in the Office of Policy and Grant Administration, or OPGA, as we like to say for short. A little bit less of a mouthful. And this office is led by Brian Siebenlist. He's the director, and Bill William McKee is the deputy director. Neither of them was able to be here today, unfortunately, but I am joined by other OPGA colleagues, and I'd like them to stand as I introduce them and give a wave so you can see who they are. And I think at least some of them may be your OHC POCs, your point of contact. So we have Colleen Weiser, and Terry Ames, and Kristen Ackerman, and Melissa Noe. And Charlene Young was helping to check in at the front. I don't think she's made her way here quite as it's kept. This is my first time meeting Kristen and Melissa, so that's very exciting. You all know that we're a virtual office and we speak on the phone almost every day, but we don't always get an opportunity to meet, so that's a nice upside for this annual meeting for us, too. Well, since the last time that we have had our stakeholders meeting, OPGA has added some more staff, Kristen, Melissa, and some others, which is exciting for us. OPGA is still the smallest of all the OHC offices, but we're catching up and growing in strength and numbers. So more good things are going to come out of our office related to the grant administration and also developing and implementing policies for the housing counseling program. I'd just like to say that we in OPGA and OHC always find this annual meeting just as valuable as you do because of all the information and ideas and suggestions that we get during the course of the day in conversations. We always have something to take back and work with as we carry out our office's efforts. So I'm going to start. Good, I got the clicker right. With this first slide that shows you the number of clients served as of the second quarter for fiscal year 18. So there were 602,734 clients served as of fiscal year 18 quarter 2. And this is a decrease of about 11% compared to this time last year. But in spite of the increase, we're still projecting that the rate of service for all clients served in fiscal year 18 will be about 1.2 million clients. This next slide, I think, shows a trend that we have been seeing over the course of a number of years. The trend is that the number of clients receiving foreclosure counseling is declining, while the number of clients who are receiving pre-purchase counseling is increasing. So that's great news. You can see we're showing the one-on-one counseling activity as well as the group education, and group education by topic also supports what we see with one-on-one, which is pre-purchase and financial literacy workshops being sort of at the top of the leaderboard there. Okay, so to talk a little bit about our accomplishments in fiscal year 18, the first one, no surprise, at the top of our list is the Comprehensive Housing Counseling NOFA, the fiscal year 18 NOFA. It was published on July 3rd, and your applications were due back on August 7th, and the training NOFA applications are due on August 31st. We count this as an accomplishment because every year we have a group of people from across the Office of Housing Counseling, but it's led by OPGA, who draft and publish the NOFA. And the NOFA each year also takes a lot of the feedback that we get from you each year when we have the webinar asking for feedback and things that you thought worked and didn't work with the NOFA. So we're glad to see that published. Another accomplishment that we have is 9902 reporting has improved significantly. The timely reporting since last year's NOFA has increased to 92%. Of course, the 9902 reporting is the information that we use to really show the counseling activity that's done in the program. If your agencies in your network are not reporting timely, you may have gotten some calls or emails from your HUD point of contact. Has anyone received any emails with a push to submit your reports? Well, maybe LHCAs. Well, anyway, the reporting has increased significantly, and that's tremendous. There's also a 9902 online toolkit. The webinar for that toolkit was presented on July 21st. That's something that's archived that you can take a look at. And another thing that we have done as a big accomplishment is publishing frequently asked questions, both generally frequently asked questions about different topics for the housing counseling program, and also NOFA frequently asked questions. And I raise that because that's one of the mediums that we use to give information about questions that people have, and also to provide clarification on some policy points. If you have a question that you'd like to share with others so that they can also get the response, you can send the question to the Housing Counseling mailbox. We always try to turn the questions around quickly, and we find that it's a good way to just get information out. The frequently asked questions are distributed on the listserv, so those are things that you should look out for. And again, if you want to submit a frequently asked question, you can. In terms of works in progress, right now, of course, we are working on the NOFA applications that have come in, reviewing those and scoring those, and getting the grant award amounts ready. So those are things that you can look out for in the next few weeks. As we do every year, once the grants are awarded, we will have a webinar to talk about executing the grant application packages, the grant award packages rather. So you'll receive information about that on the listserv as well. Another work in progress has to do around the HECM default counseling. You probably noticed in this year's NOFA that there is an incentive for agencies that would commit to provide HECM default counseling. And the goal is just to assist HCAs in expanding the HECM default counseling to clients. That was something that Brian Montgomery included in his remarks earlier. Another thing is the 9902. You'll hear more about it today, but the disaster-related counseling and HECM default counseling, those are two areas that we would like to see reflected in the 9902. So that's more of a long-term project and probably won't happen until about 2020, but that's something that is on our radar and that you can likely expect to see some revisions to the 9902 reporting at some point. And then finally, I'd just like to say that the Housing Counseling Program Handbook is getting close. The revision is getting very close, and a number of my colleagues here have been on that Housing Counseling Handbook revision team. We have one more chapter to review. Of course, there is an internal clearance process before it can be published, but we will, as we've said to you before, be getting your feedback, requesting your feedback for some of the things that we're looking to do in terms of revisions and changes. So those are OPGA's updates. Thanks so much, and I think Jerry is next.
Well, thank you, Stephanie. It's a pleasure to see everybody here today. It's so nice to be in a room filled with all of our friends and friends of housing counseling. Before I get started, I'd like to identify the Office of Outreach and Capacity folks that are here in the room with you. Some of them may be your points of contact, so if you recognize a name and want to meet your point of contact, because we are a virtual office and sometimes we don't get to meet everybody, seek them out on the break and have a conversation with them. Robin Penick, if you could stand up. And you remember Robin from earlier. She helped organize this event, along with Jane Sharita, also an organizer of this event. Judy Ayers, where's Judy? There she is, from Florida, Miami. She came all the way here. Suzanne Isaacs, there she is. Ginger Holman. And Lorraine Griscavage Frisbee. So we have a nice OCB presence for you today. We're going to go through some of our accomplishments. Housing counseling certification, we've had a lot of recent improvements and changes to the certification process, and those are driven by user feedback primarily. We do listen. We've made some improvements, but rather than me tell you about it, I'd like to introduce you again to Lorraine Griscavage Frisbee, and she's the Deputy Director of the Office of Outreach and Capacity Building. And she has been leading the certification effort since the very beginning and is the driving force behind certification. Lorraine, why don't you say a few words about where we are today?
Let's see. I don't know if it's, there we go. Good morning, everyone. Great to see all of you. Just very briefly, because we're going to have an afternoon session on certification, we're absolutely thrilled to share with you our updates that are going to be launched August 28th. And we'll go through those this afternoon. We're going to have changes to the training modules and the certification exam. We have a major improvement to the certification exam that we recently announced in a listserv message, and that is our virtual pen and paper. I'm sure you're all really happy to hear about that. And we're also going to have a panel discussion and a best practice, and two of our panel members are your peers. And so we're going to be looking forward to hearing from them, sharing their experiences, and also with you and sharing your best practices and also your comments that you have on certification. So looking forward to this afternoon's session.
All right, thank you, Lorraine. And now the next topic we have is our Housing Counseling Federal Advisory Committee. And as you can see from the slide, we've added 8 new members. Well, we're in the process of adding 8 new members, that's right. And thank you. And I think the best way to bring you up to date is for Ginger Holman, who is our team leader on the Federal Advisory Committee, to give us some brief comments.
Okay, thank you, Jerry and everyone. And it is great to be here, and welcome, and go away with lots of information, as will we. The Federal Housing Counseling Federal Advisory Committee was established in the same statute that established the Office of Housing Counseling. We held our first meeting in 2016. We have got the statute and the regulations call for 12 members, which equally represent the real estate industry, the mortgage industry, the housing counseling industry, and consumers. And they're on a rotating basis. We've had, of the 12, we've had 8 whose terms expired. And as Jerry said, we're in the process of reviewing applications and selecting those new 8 members for recommendation to the secretary. When that happens, we will, of course, have a meeting. We hope to have the first meeting with a new group sometime this fall. Our plan is to have 2 a year. And they're open to the public, either in person or virtually. If you go to HUD Exchange, we do have a page for the Housing and the Advisory Committee, which gives you information on the past meetings, the minutes, the presentations, and that sort of thing. So it's a very active group and has come up with a number of recommendations that the office is considering. Thank you, Jerry.
All right, thank you, Ginger. Our next topic is disaster recovery, housing counseling. And let me start by giving you a little bit of history. You know, shortly after the HUD Office of Housing Counseling was stood up, and that was about 2012, a few months later, Superstorm Sandy hits and devastates the Northeast, particularly New York and New Jersey. And what we saw was that our housing counseling agencies were deeply involved in the disaster effort. And that took 2 forms. The first was the immediate response. We found housing counselors were staffing FEMA centers, were helping families that were displaced. Sometimes it was just, getting them stabilized into a dry place with a blanket and a bottle of water, and then finding shelter for them, usually with a Red Cross shelter. But then we realized that there's a second part to housing counseling's involvement in disaster recovery, and that is the long term. How to negotiate with FEMA on insurance payments and private insurers as well, and how to find rehabilitation financing to rebuild that house. A lot of this is really hard, and it's very difficult. And what we discovered was that housing counselors are quite uniquely positioned to be able to help consumers recover from disasters. One of the things that we did was we decided to organize ourselves and get ready for the next disaster after that. We decided to form what's called the Disaster Assistance Response Team, also known as our DART team. And that team is responsible for supporting housing counseling agencies, developing training materials, toolkits, and rolling that stuff out, and also to advocate for housing counseling agencies with, in terms of policy, and work with the other parts of HUD in order to have them recognize the role of the housing counselor. And some of the successes that they had this past year was extra funding for the training NOFA grantees so that they can do more training for housing counselors, working with our community planning and development office here at HUD to make housing counselors eligible as subrecipients for CDBG-DR funding, and also requiring that as a condition of CDBG-DR funding that housing counseling agencies have to be consulted, which is very important. It's important to be part of the disaster plan. Thank you. And also, the other thing that we're working on, you'll hear more about this this afternoon, is we discovered that in order to really connect housing counseling agencies with the funding sources, we have to be able to tell the story of housing counseling in regards to disaster recovery work. And that really means quantifying what it is you're doing. And that leads us to developing a new form of housing counseling that will be reportable on the 9902, disaster assistance counseling. And that's going to take two forms, the prevention effort, disaster prevention, group education, so that you can educate your clients on how to prepare for disasters, and also disaster recovery counseling, helping them in the aftermath of disasters. And in the future, if everything goes the way we want, you'll be able to count those on your 9902. You'll be able to talk to your funders and connect the dots for them on the number of clients you've seen and helped recover from disasters. We have a couple other things. We rolled out a nice toolkit for you this year with ICF's help. We're going to be building on that as well to bring you some more tools that you can use to help your clients. We'll be having a breakout session later today on disasters that's going to be led by Ginger Holman, and who is also our DART team leader. In addition to the work she does on the Federal Advisory Committee, she's very energetic. And also Brandy Bones of ICF will be helping to facilitate that. And then outreach and training. We're doing a lot more on outreach and training. We're working with our contractors, ICF, who you've already met, plus CMR, who's here in the room with us today, and Link IT. And on the screen behind me, there's a few of the products that we're working on, but the one I really want to talk about is technology. We just launched a housing counseling technology webpage, and what we're going to do with that webpage is we're going to gather information on new client management systems, on virtual counseling, try to bring a lot of news to you, and help housing counseling agencies figure out which CMS system is best. We know that HCO and Counselor Max are going away and they're being replaced by other systems. Counseling agencies are facing a decision point when it comes to which CMS to choose, and we're going to bring information to you in the form of webinars and other toolkits so that it will help you find the system that best suits you, and so you can make a great decision. And finally, our last slide is our work in progress. And in addition to all of the ongoing stuff on the slide that is familiar to you, the one thing I really want to call out is HECM default counseling. We're working on a new category of housing counseling, much like with disasters, and this one is HECM default counseling. And where's Buzz? Buzz Zeman right there. Now, Buzz just completed his term on the Federal Advisory Committee, and Buzz really banged the drum on HECM default counseling. And it's a very important topic because we're starting to see senior homeowners getting into problems as they age. They may get their HECM mortgage with sound mind and body, and as time marches on, people become forgetful and things happen, and suddenly they forget to pay the taxes and the house goes into default. And it's a very, very sensitive and complex form of housing counseling. And it's a growing problem, and it creates a lot of risk, especially for the FHA insurance fund. So our goal is to curb those defaults through effective counseling, through education, and reduce that risk and keep those senior homeowners in their homes. So that is another area that we're working on. And that's it for me. And I'd like to turn it over to Phyllis Ford of our Office of Outreach, nope, of Oversight and Accountability.
He's been
That's
trying to
it.
draft me, that's why he got that all confused.
I will, one of these days, I will.
Good morning, everybody. It's always a pleasure to be here in the room with all of you. This is, I think I've been here every year, and I enjoy it more and more each year. It's a great opportunity to share with you, and it's a great opportunity for me to learn. Maybe I'll learn how to use the clicker. All right. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about is our accomplishments. Now, I'm with the Office of Oversight and Accountability, and I bring you greetings from Cheryl Appline, who is our director, and for Keisha Wright, who is our deputy director. Cheryl is recuperating from a surgery, and Keisha is busily doing oversight and accountability back in New York, so here I am. You know, the first thing that I wanted to talk about on our accomplishments is complaints. Now, that may seem a little inconsistent. Usually you want to hide complaints, but we want to let you know that we've made some big progress in complaints. First of all, Sarah's a great complaint person. She just like stands out in front of the building. Do you have complaints? Tell me your complaints. We get complaints from a number of sources. They actually come through our website. They come to us from individuals who have had an unpleasant experience, counseling experience. They may come as a result of a complaint to a POC about something that they received, some issue that they disagreed with. So the first area that we really talk about is from the client perspective. I will tell you that in fiscal year 17, we actually received 24 complaints. We look at those complaints and determine whether or not, you know, how they should be addressed. A lot of times we get complaints from clients because their expectations are greater than what we can deliver. So that means that we have to kind of share with them. We go back, we negotiate, we talk to you, we talk to your sub-agencies, and we determine whether or not what that complaint is something that should have been handled different programmatically. Out of the 24 that we received in fiscal year 17, we determined that 5 were actual complaints that should have been handled differently. We were able to resolve 23 of the 24 in fiscal year 17, and 1 resolution carried over to this fiscal year. Excuse me, but all of the complaints were resolved. None of them were devastating issues. They could all be handled either by maybe training, some looking at customer service, and sometimes things just happen. So we were able to resolve those with the agencies and with their help. Often OHC's stakeholders have an opportunity to offer compliments and complaints to us about their experience or your experience with us. The opportunity presents itself in a delicate way because the complaints or compliments come directly to me, and we work them out. I've worked with a number of people in the room on issues that some not so very easy to resolve, but usually they're about a agency feeling that they take difference to a finding, and that requires some research and some resolution. Sometimes an agency feels that they're not getting the support that they should be getting from their POC. We take a look at that. And I will tell you that during fiscal year 17, we got 1 compliment. Now, it wasn't that there wasn't a lot of compliments out there, it's just that people have gotten used to such great treatment that they neglect to say. So we had 1 compliment, and we had, I believe, 2 complaints. Sometimes it's very difficult to untangle the complaint, but both complaints were resolved. None of them were egregious. I worked with like I said, I worked with the intermediary. We bring in the manager of the POC, but we have to handle it delicately because we don't want to destroy or negatively impact the relationship between the POC and the agency. And sometimes the agency will come in and say, I don't want that person anymore. You got to get rid of this person. And we don't always do that. We try to build the relationship. But then sometimes the relationships are toxic and we just have to move on. So, but we do work out the issues. All of them were resolved, and all of them, just two. And that we worked them out in a way that everything is moving forward in a positive way. We encourage you. Don't hold back if there is an issue that you want to describe, you want to upline, because that's the way we learn. It works well for us. Complaints that come to us help us understand what we need to do in training of our POCs, and it also helps us understand what kind of training we need to provide for our stakeholders. There is a third category of complaints that Sarah touched on, complaints that may be of a criminal nature, potential criminal nature. Sometimes they come to us through the OIG hotline, and sometimes they come to us through newspaper articles, believe it or not. And we have a different approach for things that could have a criminal involvement. The very first thing that we do is we reach out to the Office of the Inspector General because they have an investigative process and we don't want to get all up in the mix and destroy that. So we send that to the Inspector General's office. And last year, fiscal year 17, we made 2 referrals. Now, as a rule, they don't come back and tell us what's happening, so I can't say how those were resolved. Other times, the Inspector General will send something to us. They will get something on their hotline that does not rise to their level of investigation. They may think it's programmatic, and they say, okay, Office of Housing, you investigate this from a programmatic perspective. Last year, they referred 4 such cases to us. We investigated those cases, again, working with you, with the agency, and we were able to resolve those cases, none of which had any significant findings. One of the things that I think is important as we look at and try to do an analysis is sometimes the resources are so stressed for some of our agencies that things slip through the cracks. And because the client has a high level of expectation, they may think, oh, well, this is just, sloppy work, whatever. So we try to go in and provide technical assistance and what other kinds of support we can so that the agency can maintain a decent reputation and the clients can get the level of service that they deserve. So moving away from the happy topic of complaints and compliments, one of the other areas that we have really focused on and think we made accomplishments is in the area of recaptures. Recaptures is the title given when an agency is funded and is unable to spend that money. And it's not a good thing. We are dedicated to avoiding recaptures. It doesn't advance the program. During the congressional appropriations, we're saying we need a certain amount, and then there's a number that shows that people got money and didn't spend it. It actually penalizes the agencies that are working and trying to get through with limited funds, and it adds an extreme unnecessary administrative burden to both the agency and HUD. The OHC strategic plan goal is to keep the recaptures under 2%. We provide technical assistance to those who need assistance. We delivered a webinar in August on avoiding recaptures and the best way to manage your funds. And a managing funds toolkit has been developed and will be released in the very near future. We understand that sometimes timing issues can be a factor, and that's why we try to provide technical assistance in helping you work out ways in which you can spend your money. Of course, every year we do a lot of training, so one of our accomplishments this year, again, is training. We did training on preparing a budget, understanding direct costs, and how to read financial and understand financial management systems, and of course others. But those were the ones that we're actually highlighting this time. Work in progress. Performance reviews. Every year I come and I say we're working on performance reviews, and it is true. We are trying to develop strategies to better define, identify, and assess risk. Now, that has not always been our focus, but we have been working very hard with other entities within the HUD office, the Office of Risk, to see how we can assign risk to each particular factor to determine what situations need to be changed. So we're constantly in the process of both streamlining and looking at different ways in which we assess the performance review guidance. We've increased our partnerships with you all so that as we go out to have our performance reviews of agencies that are in your network, we often reach out to you and ask you to accompany us. And that way, you're seeing what we're doing that can help you when you're doing your performance reviews. And it also gives you an opportunity to see what's happening with your agencies in an upfront kind of way. We continue to provide specialized technical assistance so that when we go out, when our contractor goes out, when our POCs go out, sometimes they identify something specific that may not be an overall, problem, but something that may be specific to a particular agency that can be answered with some training. So, and that's what we do. We're clearly working on consistency and working on innovative techniques for HUD points of contact. One of those innovative techniques is one that I'm particularly happy about. We developed, one of the things that you have always have said to us is that we need consistency. This POC came and they told us one thing, and this other POC came and told us another thing, and then we got a new POC and they told us something completely different. So one of the ways that we're trying to make sure that all of our POCs are on the same page is we developed a POC forum. And a part of the POC forum is a chat where we talk about different aspects of what we do. And one POC who said one thing and another POC who said another get an opportunity to find out just what the right answer is. And then we try to do whatever training is necessary to make that happen. So I think you will see some changes. We have a POC newsletter where we're sharing information about what's going on in the industry, trying to make sure that the POCs are updated and aware. We're going to be doing something very shortly. I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, Lorraine. We're going to be actually looking at a POC forum because there are changes as a result of changes in their compliance, which related to the certification, and we're going to be looking at ways to make sure that when they come to you, they can share that information with you accurately. All right. Sarah did mention that we're in the midst of a OIG audit. Don't you all laugh. This is not our upcoming. This is good. Believe it or not, it's going to be a great opportunity for us to look at how we can provide a better program for our clients and a better program for you. Now, we don't have the results of the audit yet. We've had several meetings. We've talked with the auditors. But you do have an inference, or we have an inference, as to what some things may be, and we are already beginning to work on that. We're beginning to look at tightening up. I know we were already working on tightening up our handbook and tightening up the regulations and working for a greater consistency. So and then I understand the auditors actually came out and knocked on some of your doors, or maybe the doors of some of your subs. So you probably had an opportunity to hear from them at that point as they gathered information. But more information will be coming to you. We will be making some changes. Those changes will be improvements, and they will be improvements for the benefit of our stakeholders and improvement for our clients and improvements for the program as a whole. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Phyllis. I do want to say it's such a joy to have the colleagues you see here and across the country. I feel very privileged to work with these fine folks. I think there may be a couple other Office of Housing Counseling people in the room who weren't introduced earlier. I'd like Terry Carr to stand up, who is in my office, Senior Communications and Policy Advisor. And are there other people that didn't say hello earlier from the Office of Housing Counseling? Okay. We do have a minute for questions, and so let me point you to the mic in the middle. If you have questions on anything you heard this morning, we'll take a couple. If you have questions you don't get to or don't want to share, please feel free to email them to housing.counseling@hud.gov or to me, or you know most of our addresses. Any questions? No, this has never happened. David, go right ahead. Please use the mic.
Good morning. I had a question about the...
Tell everyone your name for me.
I'm David Young with Housing Action Illinois in Chicago. I had a question about the Envision Centers and how those Envision Centers were selected and how we are supposed to work with them. There has been one selected in Chicago, for example, and has reached out to us to apply to become a HUD-approved housing counseling agency and a sub-grantee of our network. But it would be some overlap in an area where there are other housing counseling agencies, and so I want to have an idea of how these centers were selected and how we're supposed to interact with them.
Well, thank you for the question. I actually do not know much about the selection process. That's been handled by the 10th floor, and it was just the Secretary's office, and they have announced them as they have, I see the public announcements, and that's all. There was a notice for comment and an intent that HUD was going to open, I believe, up to 20 in a demonstration. There is no funding from HUD for these, and the center sponsors, there's a technical term I don't remember, are selected. I am not sure how. In Detroit, they consist of the City of Detroit and a Public Housing Authority and a nonprofit are the three center sponsors. In Chicago, the Chicago sponsor actually came to our meeting in Detroit and to gather information. And on the one hand, I'm thrilled that he's attuned to housing counseling for part of his center. On the other hand, I don't know that we would necessarily encourage or discourage changes in HUD-approved status. I think that the idea is really to gather resource providers and make them available to clients who come in. So it's a little bit of a matching of a marriage process, and that process may be different with each center. In Detroit, the centers appeared to have focus areas of expertise they were looking for and different ways of operating and different physical plans. But there are also numerous ways of connecting to a center, including entirely virtually or, like I said, very passively or very actively. I think generally the answer is you should seek out the center director or the center sponsor and get guidance from them. HUD, as far as I can tell, is not involved a lot in those matching. The one area that HUD is involved with, and I think this is quite incredible, is there are, I believe I heard 22 federal agencies are working together to provide services at the centers. I know Department of Labor, Social Security Administration, Veterans Administration are looking at on-site presence in some cases, but generally I can tell you in my time I haven't seen that level of federal cooperation in a long time. So I think that there will be benefit, but I think it may look differently at each center. Thank you. Okay. One more question, and then we'll go on.
Good morning, EBJOK Kimbawali here from the National Community Reinvestment Coalition. And my question was about the POC form or checklist. Is there a version of that we can share with the intermediaries?
In terms of, I think that it may be very helpful. We can talk later about how we do that. Maybe I can share the lead for that with you, and it may be something that you may want to do for your group, something very similar. It's a good communication mechanism.
I think the content of the POC forum in terms of the issues we're working on is not something we can share without going through clearance. What happens as an outcome, though, is that we'll develop a frequently asked question. So we don't try to just keep the knowledge inside, but we'll say, oh, you know, we realized when the POCs talked to each other that they weren't really clear on how a fee schedule should look, for example. And we'll have some back and forth, and then we will share that publicly as an FAQ. Yeah, good. I am going to move into the next part of our meeting today. I want to thank the folks up here for their work, and we will go into a listening. Actually, do you want to stay up for the listening session? Yeah, why don't you stay up, if you don't mind. And we'll stay up.
Of course. Okay. So we are going to roll into part 2 of this HUD plenary and go into the listening session. And the listening session is for folks to provide feedback to housing counseling. We asked a couple questions, sent it out in advance, and some of you have some prepared remarks. So I'm going to call on you in just a couple minutes. In lieu of time, we're only going to do one Mentimeter question. So I'm going to get to the one we want to ask, which is this one. So looking forward to the next 50 years of HUD's housing counseling program, what word comes to mind? Okay? So, so while you get out your phones again, it's going to be another word bubble, so we'd love to hear from you. So we're looking at looking forward, like the future. And while we're waiting for that, I do know that we have David Young that wants to provide some remarks, Simone Griffin, and Sharon Barker. So if they want to go ahead and make their way to the standing microphone, that would be helpful. Do we have the poll? And one thing I want to say, and I think Sarah relayed this, is that not every HUD program, not every federal program has gotten to 50 years. So it's a real accomplishment for the program to have been around for this amount of time. So what could we do in terms of like looking forward for the program? That would be helpful. So we'll move on to the poll in a second. Okay, well, we'll let that come up. If you would like, Simone, if you would like to provide your prepared remarks, we're all ears.
Okay, well, first of all, one of the things that we noticed is how great OHC has, great work OHC has done over the last, 7-8 years in really moving counseling forward. As a result, it has stabilized our industry in a way that I think without OHC really coming into fruition and with all of your guidance, everybody in here, we could not have made that happen on an individual level. So we really want to give thanks to you all. One thing that I think would be very helpful for the next 50 years, one of the things we noticed, and it's interesting, I just had this conversation this morning, a lot of people that work for and around HUD are not familiar with housing counseling and how that can really support them as they are looking to buy, as they are having rental issues, whatever the case may be. There is a bit of concern about privacy and a couple of other things. So the more that we can ingratiate with the employees here, I think the more benefits that will provide across the board. And this is something that we've noticed from people who have been here a long time and people who are just coming in with the change in administration. But overall, we are so grateful for everything that you guys have done to support housing counseling in the last, since OHC was created. And we really are looking forward to continuing. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
That's really helpful feedback. Thanks, Simone. David.
Good morning again. I, again, want to echo what Simone said regarding the Office of Housing Counseling. It's been such a pleasure as an intermediary to work with so many of the members of the Office of Housing Counseling. You know, every year, for example, at this conference, I have a conversation with Jerry. Are you coming to our conference in October? And every year he says he'll try. And the fact that he continues to try, I think, is really important.
Federal budget year. Look at me, look at me, look at Congress, look at Congress.
But I'd like to focus on what I think is really going to be important over the next 50 years is, I think for a lot of housing counseling, it has been focused in the past on providing a service to persons that are low to moderate income. And while those folks are extremely important because of the need, we also know that in terms of our overall public education, there's not a lot of economics, there's not a lot of budgeting. Those things are not taught. So even for folks that are above low to moderate income, that assistance is needed. So the ability for our industry to appeal to households that do not consider themselves low to moderate income, I think is extremely important. So as we look at, for example, we've talked about this for the last couple of years, what are we going to call ourselves? In terms of what we do, there are some people who are going to look at housing counseling and say, you only go to counseling when something is wrong, so how are we going to address that so that we will appeal to more people? I am excited about the technology and where we're going, and just want to be able to provide that to more people. And then also, if I can say to my fellow intermediaries that with individual certification, this gives us an incredible opportunity to lift our counselors, and we all need to agree on what that logo is going to be, what that image is going to be, and make sure that we are getting that to every person that passes that exam to show them how proud we are of what they're doing.
Hi, I'm Sharon Barker. I'm from New Jersey. I'm actually going to change my comments around a little bit so I can build on what you just said. We're working very closely with the banks that are associated with our organization to focus on the fact that they should be suggesting housing counseling for everyone who's buying a home, not just low and moderate income people, and I think that's an important piece for us. The other that I wanted to talk about is that when we provide more services as part of housing counseling or as part of Section 8 housing, whatever it's been. I started with Section 8 in 1986. I've been doing this stuff for a long time. And I know when there's more services provided, the client has a much better chance of succeeding. And that's what this is about. New Jersey, unfortunately, is still the worst for foreclosure in the country. And we still have a huge amount of foreclosures. And a lot of that has to do with Superstorm Sandy. So I have to tell you, I was thrilled when I saw that the counseling time will now be able to be used on the 9902. We got hit very, very hard in New Jersey, and our organization in particular worked very closely in doing the outreach work because there were 9 counties that there was discrimination. And unfortunately, the people didn't get the information in the languages that they needed. We worked closely with ICF to do that, and it was an important piece of what we did. So our housing counseling is really more than just helping somebody buy a home or determine if they should buy a home or not. It's really understanding what's their situation and spending a little more time than we used to in the past. So I thank you for including the 9902, the disaster recovery. It's really an important piece. And having also lived in California at one time, I know there's mudslides and there are forest fires. It's not just a hurricane. It can be any kind of a disaster that's going on. And unfortunately, much of the country right now is in disaster situations. So thank you.
Okay, thanks, Sharon. I would like to invite others to provide remarks in terms of where we need to go forward in terms of the next 50 years. And while you queue up, I just want to ask you to comment on some of what you've heard already.
I'd be happy to, and I'll just, well, actually, let's hear the next comment, and then I'll.
Housing. So first of all, thank you for your partnership, for your funding, and your proactivity over the last number of years. with this conference as an example of that proactivity, talking with us and learning from each other. I just want to stress the importance, both on sort of the program model and funding, of sort of longer term advising going forward. So we're seeing in Minnesota a lot of people with a lot of student debt who are going to need advising over a longer period to get to home ownership. We're also seeing a lot of first-time and first-generation homeowners who need a longer-term coaching model over 2-3+ years to get to home ownership, and that's sort of our new wave of first-time home buyers. It takes more time, it takes more money, and I just want to collectively think about, again, strategies. We've been doing a demo in Minnesota, but know that that only does so much, but again, thinking about that longer term. Thanks.
Can you say a word about the demo?
Yeah, so we've been funding 14 agencies. 13 of them are HUD-approved counseling agencies, but it's with some of our own internal Minnesota housing money. It's to do that longer-term coaching over, let's say, 2 to 3 years. We just did an evaluation, which I can share with you, but we've seen, looking at credit scores, looking at savings, looking at decreased debt. 60% of the folks who have exited the program have gone on to purchase. In Minnesota, we only are 20% households of color. We have the 5th largest homeownership gap. 87% of the households in this program are from households of color, so it's a strategy of ours to address our homeownership gap. So it's pretty exciting.
Great, thank
Thanks.
you. Yeah.
I'm Bruce Marks at NACA, NSC. So I think it's a real problem with the counseling in the sense is that there's a real drop-off from and I think everybody sees it. We see it with NSC and NACA. I think you see it when people do a workshop, then there's a drop-off from that for people that do the following one-on-one intake session, and then there's a follow-up. There's a drop-off after people do the one-on-one counseling to the follow-up, and there's a drop-off, real until people can actually buy a house and to purchase a house. So what we've done is saying, okay, let's do a one-stop operation. So we do these Achieve the Dream events. We've done them around the country, and so we've been in Philadelphia, Newark, Charlotte, Miami, Honolulu, Las Vegas. We just got back from Phoenix, and we're doing it in Atlanta, around the country. So we do these 5-day events. We're getting 5,000, 7,000 people. We'll probably have over 15,000 people in Atlanta, where it's a one-stop operation. Because if you're working with people who really are first-time home buyers or first-generation home buyers, you got to give them the confidence. So the vast majority of people that come are minority home buyers. It's open to everybody, obviously. And we do it as a 4-step operation. We do it all day for 5 days. And that means you do a workshop, you do one-on-one counseling, you upload all the documents, and you really follow through, and then you tell people the next steps. And I think that is, a solution to a problem that is fundamental for the counseling, because we've got to be able to see people through the whole process. And that's how we have fixed that problem. And we're going to continue to do that around the country. So it's not a one-stop thing. It's not a one-time thing like with the Save the Dream events when you had people who were losing their homes. We still do that at the events as well on the modification piece. But I think, we've got to combine that counseling and actually what, these Envision centers, whatever they're called, that's sort of that same concept where you have a one place that really people can go there for all the services. The last thing I'd say is that the response has been incredible. I mean, 5,000, 7,000 people over the 5 days, and people coming from around the country just to come to these, what we call Achieve the Dream events.
Can I ask you a question? Do you have a sense of, so you've also just done, people come to your office kind of model as well. Do you have a sense of the difference in your pull-through between the event and the normal counseling business you do?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it is huge. Because what it is that as opposed to, when you do the loss mitigation or the, save the dream type of resolutions, when you do the purchase, the pre-purchase, you never say no to somebody. So, there's never, I can't help you. You might have to do some more steps. But the other thing what it does is that it gives people the confidence because they look around the room and they see, here are people who are just like myself who are going through. I mean, so we are, pre-approving mortgages, people can go anywhere the same day. So it really, and you're getting thousands of people who are now ready for the home buying process. But the other thing is really crucial, and I forgot to say, is that remember how the home buying process works. If you're a minority home buyer or you're a low moderate income, you have to get a real estate agent who's going to work with you. Real estate agent will filter out a lot of people. Next step, you have to get a seller who's going to agree to do a contract with you. A lot of sellers who are racist or for whatever reason they don't think the loan's going to get through, they're not going to do a contract. Third is 50% of all applications to a lender, minority applications to a lender, are rejected by a lender. So how do you flip that? You flip that by saying, let's do full documentation pre-approvals, and therefore you're taking a home buyer who is not desired by a real estate agent, and you're flipping that, you're making them equivalent to a cash buyer to do that. And that requires counseling that is full document underwriting counseling. So you have to get the tax returns, the pay stubs, the W-2s, all that, not just a budget. And so that really flips it in a way because that's as big of a problem out there as the lack of affordable mortgages in that lending.
Thank you. And another great example, all of you, of sharing both insights and suggestions. Just a couple of comments on what I heard. And I like the frame of thinking really far ahead. What does the future look like? We share the insight that HUD employees could be the best housing counseling customers. We did an event with Deputy Secretary Patton Node for HUD employees here, and we had several of you or your agencies available to answer questions of HUD employees for their own housing issues. We couldn't agree more, and we intend to do more to raise our visibility inside the building, and thank you for holding us to that. A lot of concerns or grappling with this issue of retention and bringing in people at market rate, bringing in different types of people and keeping them through the process. And I do think that being attractive to the client as a service, not presenting the client with you're going to sit for 8 hours in a class and then a month later you're going to drive out to my office and have a session by appointment. Just what the industry has to do to be less dependent on that heavy carrot of subsidized mortgage, subsidized down payment assistance to reach a more market audience and become part of the transaction, I think is a big challenge we all share. The name change I didn't talk a lot about earlier. We have dug into, actually, Brian and Pam Patnout have all said they support us doing research into how to change the name Housing Counseling. I think we've figured out that it's not the best name. Changing it is complicated. Do we change the name the Office of Housing Counseling, which is statutory? Do we tell you what to call everybody, which is not something we do right now, and many of you use different names already? So we're looking at the different possibilities and models. If any of your agencies or your organization have gone through a name change, I'm looking at NeighborWorks, let us know what worked and what didn't, how you managed the process, and what are lessons learned that we could use if we're thinking about changing the name as well. It's a fairly intensive research project, but it's one that we're well into. I think that the last thing I heard was just really dealing with the new needs. How do we fund ourselves for longer-term clients, for student debt, for whatever comes along? And we know that the economy is going to cause people to have different needs at different times. There's no magic bullets there, but there is a lot of creativity and knowledge in the room. I say to other stakeholders who worry that counseling doesn't have the capacity to grow and meet all the needs, that capacity is green, it's about money. And if the money is there, this industry has shown that they will adapt to new challenges and new needs and expansion. They need funding, and they need, and then we will figure out the best practices to do that. So I think that hearing what's on your minds is very helpful to us. I want to thank you for sharing that, and I want to encourage you as things go along. Please continue to send us your reaction and ideas.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I think that was a good summary of the things that you heard. I also heard nimble, holistic, and then the cross-HUD collaboration, which are things we could all work on together. So most of you now, we're still getting some responses. We're now up to 103 in terms of looking forward in terms of HUD's housing counseling program. I don't know if you were able to watch as folks were talking, but initially technology was like number one, like the biggest thing that you said that needs to happen for us to look forward. Now, what I'm seeing is funding, okay? And I think we can all agree with that. Some other, larger words here that I'm seeing partnership, I'm seeing sustainability, collaboration, consistency. Innovation is also another one that's up here as well. And I'm really pleased that all of you have already gotten on to Mentimeter and helped us with these responses. It shows that you're also very interested in technology and maybe use something similar for your meetings. HUD, any HUD panel, other things that you're seeing here that you want to specifically call out that you're happy to see?
Oh goodness, we know funding, and we share your pain on funding, but we do try to do what we can. We think there's a lot of opportunity in disaster planning and recovery. Yeah. It's not only because we know every one of you will be affected by a disaster sooner or later. It will happen. But also because we think there's an opportunity to recognize the value that you can bring. We know that the cost of doing business with us is high, and if we can lower that, it can be helpful. So, and we've talked about research into best funding models. That's still on our burner to get out to you. So we appreciate getting your priorities straight. They'll help us keep our priorities straight.
Absolutely. And I think we have one more person, Karen Hoskins from NeighborWorks. You guys can keep responding just like you can all day once the poll is still active. HUD will see these results later, so all your feedback is really important. Karen.
Sure, absolutely. Good morning, everybody. I just wanted to take the opportunity to congratulate the Office of Housing Counseling and HUD on its 50 years in housing counseling. Since the advent of the Office of Housing Counseling, it, I think, had turned the tide in terms of our relationship with HUD on this topic. And kudos to Sarah and your staff for being so transparent in terms of sort of things that you've been working on, and also allowing us, the HUD Intermediary Coalition, to have a voice into what you're planning, what you're working on, and being willing and open to hear us. I think we have a voice that we didn't have prior to the OHC, so we really appreciate it. Hello to Jerry up there. He's our POC. We've had a wonderful relationship with him, and we appreciate your openness as well and keeping us straight. We really, really do appreciate that. In terms of some of the things that we would hope that the OHC might consider going forward, certainly this whole topic of consumer awareness is near and dear to us all. I would agree that the counselor certification is ushering in a new era in housing counseling, and will contribute to a higher level of professionalism within the field, which has been very much needed. So we are looking forward to that. What's concerning, though, is certainly there needs to be more awareness among consumers for housing counseling and how it can be of support. And we would be challenged to raise that awareness to scale in the way that it needs to be on our own. So we look to HUD to help us in that effort. And anything that you can do to raise that awareness, we will certainly we will support it and be behind you. So thank you, and congratulations.
Thanks, Karen.
I just wanted to respond a little bit on Karen's comments. And one of the things that I've learned from Karen and from NeighborWorks is how to be a great collaborator. Working with NeighborWorks has taught me an awful lot, and being a point of contact has also helped inform our training and the kind of products that we are able to bring to you. Before all HUD employees, or all Office of Housing Counseling employees were points of contact, we really weren't connected to you in the way that we are now. And it's been a process of learning for me, and I really enjoyed it. And so having the opportunity to work with Karen and her folks and all the great NeighborWorks organizations has really grounded me in our industry, much more so than I would have otherwise been. And so Sarah's vision of having all of us serve as point of contacts, and even Sarah is a point of contact. She goes out and she reviews agencies and works with them, has really helped us connect with you in a way that we were never able to do before, and I think it is the great facilitator of communication. So thank you for lifting that up, Karen. I appreciate that.
Okay, thanks, Jerry. 2 reminders as we end the listening session. Thanks for all of your feedback. There will be other times to ask questions this afternoon during the certification role session. There's a chunk at the end of that section where you can ask questions related to the certification role. And then also at the end, at the closing. So if you didn't get an opportunity to come to the microphone and you really want to be able to provide feedback, we are all open to that. The second reminder is, at this point, we're going to take a 15-minute break, and then we are going to split into 2 peer-to-peer sessions where we're grouping around a flip chart and providing feedback to your facilitator on topics. In this room, and we're actually going to have the flip chart right here, it'll be the 9902 data collection. Okay, so those of you interested in that, we have a large team of facilitators because we know that's going to be very popular. And then also in next door, you can either open up the little door right there or go in the hallway, will be rental housing counseling. So those of you that want to talk about rental housing counseling, you can join us over there. And we start promptly at 11. So we'll see you at 11. Thanks so much.